Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Guman Singh. Hope you had a wonderful Veterans Day. Originally called Armistice Day, it was first declared a holiday in 1938 to commemorate the end of World War I, which happened at 11 a.m. on the 11th day of the 11th month in the year 1918. Since then, the holiday honored the veterans of the First World War and has always been celebrated on November 11th. In 1954, after the U.S. had been involved in two other wars, World War II, and the Korean War, the holiday was renamed Veterans Day in honor of the veterans of all the wars. And all across the territory, flags and banners feature the colors red, white, and blue, symbolic of patriotism, and all of it to honor the men and women who paid the price for freedom. The Virgin Islands has been celebrating Veterans Day in the past weeks, but the biggest events were held on Wednesday. News 2's April Knight has that story.
The celebration of heroes across the territory began bright and early on the Big Island. In recognition of Veterans Day, a great parade on St. Croix paid tribute to our men and women who fought for freedom. Residents of St. Croix, as well as active members of the military, came out to honor those who've come back from service in various battlefronts around the world. Schools showed up with strong contingents of students, and community organizations marched right alongside them. Office of Veterans Affairs Director Eugene Farrell took the opportunity to present the plaque to this year's Veterans Parade Marshal.
The plaque reads, Amos L. Seeley, Parade Marshal, Veterans Day, St. Croix, 2015.
VI National Guard Brigadier General Deborah Howell delivered the keynote address focused on disabled veterans.
I ask the community to stand alongside me as we commit to look for and pick up our comrades who have fallen due to an injury or disability acquired while performing in the defense of our great nation.
Governor Kenneth Mapp announced that he commissioned the University of the Virgin Islands to identify Virgin Islanders who joined and served in the military and died in conflict.
In the report that came back, there was an entire listing from the University of the Virgin Islands that listed those Virgin Islands that served and died in conflicts. And if my memory serves me correctly, and to my utter surprise, there was a single name from the Virgin Islands under the Civil War.
For veterans who were present, the ceremony was a moving affair.
I'm a disabled American vet, but I still stand tall and try and appreciate these Veterans Day ceremonies.
Reporting for News 2, I'm April Knight.
Meanwhile, a parade was held also on St. Thomas later on. Participants assembled at the Adelita Cancrine School and proceeded onto the Harwood Highway, headed east via Main Street. They proceeded down Main Street to the Franklin D. Roosevelt Veterans Park. The keynote speaker was St. John's Veterans Day Parade, also that was held over the weekend. The keynote speaker was Davis Celestine Sr., president of the Florida Gulf Coast Paralyzed Veterans of America chapter, who spoke about the importance of supporting veterans. He was also the keynote speaker, as we just mentioned, at St. John's Veterans Day Parade, which was held last weekend. Governor Mapp and Lieutenant Governor Potter were in attendance. We will have highlights from St. Thomas's parade on Thursday. Meanwhile, local government officials advocating for the welfare of veterans are looking far beyond this month's celebrations. Veterans Affairs Director Patrick Farrell says there are between 5,000 and 8,000 veterans in the territory, and the huge unknown in that figure is due to the lack of data. Farrell reflects on the major challenges VI veterans face on a daily basis.
Availability of services, medical especially, our medical services especially. Currently, our veterans have to go to the island of Puerto Rico to a lot of appointments. We do have our share of homeless veterans, but one of our problems are we do not particularly know all of the people that are homeless, if they are veterans or not. A lot of veterans that are homeless are actually shy to come forward. And I'd like to actually take this opportunity to tell those veterans You need to step up to the plate and allow us to help you. You served, so now let us serve you.
Meanwhile, wounded veterans from across the waters set foot on St. Thomas Wednesday morning. It's part of a non-government program that aims to repay veterans for their service by giving them a relaxing Caribbean vacation. News2's April Knight met up with the wounded warriors to see how they were enjoying America's paradise.
Retired Army Sergeant and wounded warrior Mark Owens would rather jump off a plane than get on a boat. In fact, that's how he lost both of his legs while serving in the military. A life-changing skydiving accident.
I really had some apprehensions about being away from land.
But that didn't stop Owens from getting on the Regal Princess, along with 12 other wounded warriors and their families. They're cruising the Caribbean thanks to the efforts of the 46th Special Forces.
This is our 5th cruise. We've been doing it for 10 years because we do it every 2 years. We're all volunteers. We have no paid members, and every penny that we raise goes to our causes.
For the past 10 years, the 46th Special Forces have taken wounded warriors on a Caribbean cruise along with their spouses every 2 years to show gratitude for their service, a sentiment that's not lost on these veterans who today apparently enjoyed their day on island. They got to go shopping on Main Street, visit scenic overlooks, take home knickknacks from smaller retail kiosks, get history lessons, and of course, sample Caribbean cuisine.
I'm a very historical buff and a cultural kind of guy, and I just love the culture of what I've seen so far. Everybody is so friendly here, and I wish we could bring that back to the mainland.
Are you having fun on your cruise?
I am.
Okay, what have you done so far?
Well, I've relaxed a lot.
2 years from now, a different set of wounded warriors will be setting foot on the Virgin Islands with the help of the 46th Special Forces.
Being a Vietnam veteran, when I came home, we had no greetings. We were forgotten. We were looked down upon. And my generation doesn't want that to happen to this generation.
Reporting for News 2, I'm April Knight.
A collaboration of local businesses made it possible for the wounded warriors to experience the best that St. Thomas has to offer. Kudos to our local business owners. The Disability Rights Center is one agency that works with a lot of veterans because of disabilities, and you can call them for some details, but they want to remind you that a disability may be physical, cognitive, mental, sensory, emotional, developmental, or some combination of these. Disabilities is an umbrella term covering impairments, activity limitations, a physical or mental impairment which has a substantial and long-term adverse effect on an individual's ability to perform normal day-to-day activities. That's the definition of a disability. And people with disabilities are often denied chances to work, go to school, and participate fully in society. That's where the Disability Rights Center of the Virgin Islands comes in. They are the only territory-wide advocacy organization established by Congress that provides legal services to eligible persons with disabilities in the U.S. Virgin Islands since October 1st, 1977. Turn our attention overseas, let's take a look at the New York Stock Exchange with our Stock Market Watch. According to the numbers there, everything down. The Dow down 56, NASDAQ 16, S&P 500 6. Coming up, much more. We have more as we recognize our veterans. We'll be right back. Welcome back. The Committee on Government Services, Consumer and Veteran Affairs, chaired by Senator Justin Harrigan Sr., met recently to discuss Bill number 31-0155, sponsored by Senator Harrigan, to amend the Virgin Islands Code by adding a paragraph relating to the duties of the Office of Veterans Affairs in connection with inscribing names on memorials. This bill seeks to clearly designate the Office of Veterans Affairs as the agency responsible Chairman Harrigan told his committee members that currently there is a question as to which agency is responsible. He pointed out the last name added was done in 2008 at Roosevelt Park. Patrick Farrell, the director of Virgin Islands Office of Veterans Affairs, said he agreed and added that it would be an honor to be part of that process and for the family of fallen service members to know that the sacrifice of their loved ones has not gone in vain. The other testifiers included Sean Krieger, who is the acting and deputy state historic preservation office representatives, who said his office stands ready to assist the Veterans Office with the logistics of the ordering process for new nameplates and plaques. The bill was voted out of committee with a favorable recommendation and sent to the Rules and Judiciary. Governor Kenneth Mapp, in conjunction with Lieutenant Governor Osbert Potter and the Office of Veterans Affairs, invited veterans to receptions in honor of Veterans Day. On November 4th, it was held in St. Croix at Government House. On November 8th, on St. John at the Battery. And this evening, November 11th, a final one is underway on St. Thomas at Estate Catherineburg. Also, the Vego y Sur American Legion Post 131 on St. John, they held the annual Wounded Warriors Barbecue at the Agriculture Station in Coral Bay. Now, coming up again, Rotary East, in conjunction with the Virgin Islands Office of Veterans, will be honoring veterans that served between December 1941 and May 1975. On St. Thomas, 6 p.m. November 12th, at the Ivanidorkan High School auditorium. This time period also covers any veteran who may have served during World War II, the Korean War, and the Vietnam War era. On November 21st, also coming up, St. John Rotary Club will be honoring 5 St. John Vietnam veterans at their annual Flavors Gala at the Westin Hotel, starting at 6 p.m. In recognition of veterans, Governor Mapp said, "We will continue to use the occasion of Veterans Day and every other opportunity to express our collective appreciation for their valor, patriotism, professionalism, and sacrifice to preserve our cherished way of life." Delegate Stacey Plaskett said it is a fact that servicemen and women from our territory play an integral role in America's present-day military readiness. We should endeavor to serve their best interests as well as they have served our nation. St. Thomas Senator Jean Ford said Veterans Day is of particular importance to the Virgin Islands because historically our young men and women have entered the armed services at one of the highest rates of any state or territory in the United States. Therefore, when we honor our veterans, we honor the best in ourselves. Senator Kurt Violet said honoring the sacrifices and the victories of our veterans each and every Veterans Day is a very appropriate and meaningful way that we, as Virgin Islanders, collectively show our support for our troops. The office of Senator Marvin Blyden said, "Thank you all for putting your lives on the line for us. You deserve to be honored not only on Veterans Day, but every day we live in peace." Senate President Neville James said we owe a tremendous debt of gratitude to the 22 million troops and reservists, including the more than 5,000 veterans from the territory, for protecting the United States of America and the freedoms we enjoy. Senator Kenneth Gittin said, as we observe Veterans Day, we must realize that putting on a uniform and leaving your family behind to serve your country creates a lifelong spirit of patriotism and bond among veterans. But many veterans today remain homeless on the streets, many suffering from mental illnesses. Senator Gittin said the time is now to improve our veteran benefits. But at the end of the day, it's all about a veteran. So those same vets that you've seen earlier in the show, what does Veterans Day mean to them? Here's more.
It's a very special day for me because of the service that I did for my country and for my father for the time that he spent in the Korean War. Between him and I, we saw 2 wars, and we both came back okay.
Veterans Day is a day to honor our vets. Tell them thank you. Go out there, shake their hand, because there's a lot of vets out there that are not seen.
It's a time that we give back to all the veterans of all the wars, and we remember them, and it's important that we teach our children the real reason for the season.
Every year when we celebrate it, I'm so humbled that I had the honor to even serve our country. It was the best thing I did in my life, the best thing I did.
And we thank all of our veterans. Be sure to stick around. Your News 2 AccuWeather forecast is coming up next.